You guys getting ready to show your condo? Here are top 5 things you should do to make sure your tours and showings go very smoothly. Stay tuned for Prime Properties TV. Good day, Toronto. Welcome to episode 006 of Prime Properties TV. Very glad you could join us here. In this episode, we're going to be talking about what you should do, the 5 top things you should do to make sure that you have efficient and well-placed tours and showings of your condo, okay? Tip number 1, you want to leave an access key or fob wherever you are for your buyers. If you have a realtor, you have a lockbox. If you're showing them, you don't need it. If you're leaving it with the concierge, make sure you leave that fob with them. Why, you ask? It's because a lot of the times the concierge actually doesn't allow non-residents to actually see the amenities. And if the amenities are one of your selling points in your building, like you got a sexy pool, definitely you want to leave that there. Or you have a really great gym, a yoga room, or a fantastic party room, leave your key so that they can see it. You have no idea how many times it's been a pain where I have a lot of buyers says, oh, you know what, the unit looks very, very nice, but I want to see the amenities, and we can't. And sometimes we have to either look at it online or we have to peek through the security cameras. It just doesn't do it justice if you have great amenities. So make sure you leave that key. It's easier for the person to go in and out of the amenities and the building, okay? Tip number 2, leave your condo. Leave your unit. If you are sitting in the unit watching TV, laying on the couch while the buyer is looking around, it's kind of awkward. Just imagine if you were the buyer, you walk into a unit and you see a guy eating a bag of chips and laying there watching Netflix. It's just kind of weird, right? So leave the unit, give them some space. If you get bored, just bring your book or bring your phone out. Because what you're basically allowing them is letting them kind of, again, envision, like I was saying in the other videos, envision how they would live there with their own stuff. If you being there, you don't come with the unit, so don't be there, okay? Just leave the unit. Tip number 3, you want to be flexible with your time, okay? Everyone in Toronto this day is either busy, running a second business, either hanging out, grabbing beer. They're always busy with something, okay? So I've had tours as early as 8 a.m. and I've had tours as late as 10 p.m. That's deemed reasonable, I personally think. But if you go anywhere earlier or even later than 8 a.m. or 10 p.m., I think that's just a little bit ridiculous. But be flexible. But however, if you have like a baby that doesn't want to be woken up, yeah, then you got to let them know that, you know what, you can't come in because of the baby. But try to do your best to be flexible because people these days in Toronto are just absolutely really busy, okay? Tip number 4. If you have a tenant, so this is an investment property, if you have a tenant, give them 24-hour notice. You absolutely want to give them 24-hour notice because, one, a lot of the times in your lease that you sign with a tenant, it stipulates that you should actually give them 24-hour notice. You know, some tenants are a little bit more chill, they don't care. But when you're selling it and you piss off a tenant, basically they're not going to be cooperative when they're showing the unit. Maybe it comes in the form of them not cleaning or them just giving the potential buyer attitude when they're coming in. It's best if your tenant just cooperates because you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't disturb them and it'll be beneficial for you. So give your tenants 24-hour notice if you get an opportunity to, okay? If you're working with a realtor, make sure the realtor's office gives them 24-hour notice because sometimes that gets miscommunicated, okay? Tip number 5. If you have a parking and a locker, leave a key behind and let them know where it is, okay? It's very important because locker spaces vary from building to building and from developer to developer. Sometimes you have your standard size, which is like 4 feet by like 9 feet high. Some are the extra wide ones. And if you have a large locker, you want to show it off. Some people want to see what the parking spot looks like because you know what? I've seen condos where you're surrounded by 2 pillars and you can barely open one door. So people just want to make sure that the parking spot they're going to be buying is not going to be one of that nature, okay? So those are Zhen's 5 tips for making sure your tours and showings go very efficiently. If you like the videos or learned something, make sure you press like here and subscribe to PrimePropertiesTO down here. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or leave a question in the comment section below. And remember, make sure you share this with your family and friends because an educated consumer is the best consumer. I'll see you next time, Toronto.